Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome to the MLU's showdown between the Vancouver Nighthawks visiting here the Seattle Rainmakers. Their second matchup in as many weeks. Last week, the Nighthawks dropped one to the Rainmakers in a home game in Mount Vernon, surrounded by many youth players there for the Spring Rain Tournament, and now Seattle team back here in Renton, where they call their home turf here in Renton Memorial Stadium. My name is Dave Bestock, and I'm joined by
Jake Cooper. Here in a beautiful, beautiful day, you can see how sunny and warm it is. One thing you might not see is there is some wind coming towards the camera and a little bit to the right. Mostly a crosswind game it looks like it's setting up to be, but we'll see how the Vancouver Nighthawks are able to take their rivals just downstream of them. Seattle has been doing kind of half and half this year so far, but so far chalked up a win against the Vancouver Nighthawks. Vancouver Nighthawks still looking for their first win of the season.
They've been struggling a lot against the stronger West Coast teams here. Portland is doing very well, and San Fran are all leading, of course, Vancouver. Vancouver looking to find their rhythm. A lot of young players, a lot of new faces on the Vancouver Nighthawks roster, and just finding their groove. There was certainly some miscues last game, a lot of overthrows, a lot of throws out in front of players who could not track them down. So those unforced errors really add up when you're playing at the top of the game, as these guys are.
Dave, I agree with you, and it's early in the season. Lots of early season teams are looking to gel their own team and not really looking at the win-loss column. But when you've got an offensive scoring efficiency of 37%, that means ballpark a third of the time you receive the pull, you are putting the disc in the end zone. It's just not good enough, and I don't see a pace that they could hold that would bring them to really competition this year.
That is a very low percentage and not very heartening for those offensive players continuing to get taken advantage of by other teams' defenses. The whole advantage in Ultimate is for the offensive team. You get to decide where you're going to cut. You have the power of the throws, and when you receive the pull, you should really try not to turn it over.
Yeah, I mean, the old rule is offense can lose a game and defense can win the game. And, if Vancouver's able to just score their offensive sets, they don't need a lot of breaks, because the Seattle defense, while it's been decent with pressure, hasn't really been generating a ton of blocks. It's been getting blocks where other teams are hucking it, throwing it away, or just kind of a consistent pressure. But those teams that are able to just hold on to the disc and not get broken, if you don't get broken, you're going to be at least down one is the worst.
Definitely, yeah. If you can keep scoring on offense, hoping that your defense will get a chance at it. It tends to be a game of runs. One team will often put together a few with momentum from their defensive team. But we just haven't seen it yet from the Nighthawks, really struggling here on offense and not really coming through on the defensive end either with some breaks. So hopefully they'll be looking to improve here for themselves. And the Rainmakers, of course, looking to go over 500 here with a win today. And it's a home game for them.
I wonder if we're going to see new things out of both teams right now. New things out of both teams, the Nighthawks, because what they've been doing hasn't been working, and the Rainmakers, because they're playing against the Nighthawks. I don't think they're too worried about the Nighthawks winning right now, and so they might be trying something early in the season to see what's going to gel for later games.
It could be a chance to try out a new offensive set or a new defense, certainly. The Rainmakers have taken the field, and the Nighthawks quick to follow.
Some players to watch you might notice on the Nighthawks. Graham Barber, who is number 16 out there, he's been involved in 40% of Nighthawk goals. He is an offensive just star of the Nighthawks, and he has been playing a huge amount of points on both O and D, right? They're not just looking for him to play a certain role. They're looking for him to, in a way, just be the Nighthawks, be everywhere.
He's both the Knight and the Hawk on both the offensive and defensive side.
Love it. Love it. And for the Seattle Rainmakers, our player to watch is Cam Bailey. Cam Bailey has just been a monster on the field on both offense and defense. He is one of the more athletic players as this game kicks off.
And the pull rolls through the legs of, looks like Hunter there, and he'll start in the back of the end zone. good pressure by the Rainmakers as Vancouver tries to crawl out. There's Chu. Moves it over to Davidson. Davidson, a little floater up the line. Reeled in by Dazidegel, who puts it deep, sliding. Not sure if that one hit the ground. It looked like it from up here. A late call.
And it looked like the defenders there as well, as Jesperson just left Hunter to go deep. He thought it was down, and the ruling is going to be down. So you'll see the Nighthawks switching up to play defense.
Nadon almost able to dig it out of the turf, but that throw from Dazidegel not with enough under it, and now Eddie Feely with it on the other side. That's Jesperson coming back for it. Delivering to Klein. Across to Fan. Fan out to Cam Bailey. He's our player to watch. Got a little backpack there from Dazidegel.
Would have loved to see Dazidegel bid on that one. I mean, I think he ended up drawing a foul, or committing a foul, where I think if he just left his feet, that could have been a turnover.
He would have had to get a little bit around Bailey with good position there, keeping him at his back. Now Bailey with a little lefty flip to Fan. Fan puts one up the line to Neely, and that's a break for the Rainmakers. First to strike here, going up 1-0 at home.
Well, as you called it before, that Dazidegel deep throw that was the turnover, the guy was open. It's just a little too far in front, and there on the other side you see a crisper throw to an open person as Henry Fan just shows you. If you just put some air under it, let him run onto it, you're going to get the disc, you're going to score.
Nighthawks may want to hit those fundamentals, get those throws, get those reps. Certainly pays off, the fundamentals of sports across the board. What makes good players great is having a solid base of fundamentals.
One thing you're seeing right now is both coaches deciding to keep, it looks like, the identical lines on. Nobody, I believe, has been replaced on either team. Maybe it's just a statement of, for the defense, hey, you did a great job, stay on. And for the offense, I don't want to send a signal that we don't trust you or anything. It's the first point of the game. Stay out there, try it again. You got it this time.
Keep your head up. I think they sang that in a song one time. Pull goes up from the Rainmakers. Coming up well short of the end zone. Little breeze out there. Barber initiates for the Nighthawks. Gets it back. The stack is kind of over on one side there, and kind of a jumble downfield. Not sure if it's
very deep.
A flat stack or a hoe stack. A floaty one goes up.
That was visionary.
And Nadon able to get under it easily. No Rainmakers able to find it. Nice touch on that throw as the zoo in front of Nadon. Finally, Nathan Lamb gets open for the goal. The Nighthawks strike back on offense.
Two interesting shots. One to Nadon and then for the goal, where the space that they were throwing to was so much in the middle of the field that it was hard for us to even tell what the intended receiver was supposed to be.
It didn't, and I had struggled to figure out what the stack was as they were coming downfield, and that may be some of the challenges that they're facing on offense, is not working together to make space for each other. That's the key to downfield cutting, is not only a quick step and a quick change of direction and a nice top speed, but working together with your teammates is really what allows guys to get open in space.
And a lot of the Nighthawks are new to the Nighthawks, obviously not new to Ultimate, of course not, but it is a relatively new team to gel together. It's not the same as the Nighthawks of, say, 2 years ago.
A lot of faces on the Nighthawks of 2 years ago had played club together a lot, and this is certainly a younger team. Probably a lot of these guys playing, college and such against each other, and league in Vancouver, and yet to really click as a team here in the MLU.
True. You're seeing a lot of that from last year, the holdover for the Portland Stags, who had so little team personnel turnover, and that's really shown for them as they're just dominating the West Coast right now.
It certainly makes a difference to love your team and to know your team. The disc is in now. Masler taking yards after a call. Blady flick goes up. Tridiak not able to get it. Swatted deeper. Brad Hauser almost able to get there, but not quite. That D from Lou sending it into the end zone, and then Nighthawks will have a chance at a break here.
I think Tridiak might have known that Hauser was behind him. I know they play a lot together. Tridiak might have been trying to lure Lou away, but Lou got that disc and chalk it up. He gets the D.
Not a good throw there from the Rainmakers. Not a good throw there from the Nighthawks either, as Gussin able to get in, break that one up. Little give, go, get, and Gussin finding Tridiak wide open. Nice counterattack and nice play from Steve Gussin to maintain an offensive score for the Rainmakers, who go up 2-1.
That is a heads up for Gussin, and a nice way to milk that a little further into the end zone. I'm not sure Tridiak realized which line was in. But like you said, just bread and butter fundamentals for the Nighthawks. These are 3 turnovers we've seen so far on throws that just need to be better throws.
Yeah, you got to get throwing practice in there. We've seen it time and again from the Nighthawks. It is that those fundamentals. They're not always the wrong choices, these turnovers. It's often execution errors, and that's inexcusable at this level. But certainly there, the Rainmakers taking advantage. Gussin with a nice D on a little bit of a fluffy throw, and then some give-go-gives into the end zone. And the Rainmakers will try for another break, leading the game off with a break. Nighthawks looking to score here on O.
Another horizontal stack from both teams we're seeing.
Barber getting every other so far. He's our player to watch for the Nighthawks, delivering the disc up the field. Stringing it together now, that's Lamb. Lamb puts one up. Again, finding a nice little window, a little dishy in to Hunter.
Very nice.
Nighthawks score. That's Nadan catching a nice upfield shot and quickly delivering it onwards to Hunter, who scores a lot of goals for the Nighthawks.
He is hunting that end zone, and Nadan doing a good job getting the disc and seeing, hey, this person's open right now. Get it to him right now. No need to wait.
Nice quick flip there, exactly. First open guy, and hey, not bad if he's in the end zone. Just under 6:30 remaining here in the first period of play. Tie ball game, 2-2. But the Rainmakers looking to stay on O here and score one after starting the game off with a break. They're up a break.
Rainmakers up only 1 break, which I will say, hey, that was the first point of the game, and it's played even so far. You're seeing
pull.
Somewhat short pulls due to that wind that's pushing towards the camera and a little bit to the right.
Brink
calling that one
centers
up.
to McKibben. Tridiak gets it. Backhand out wide. Possibly looking for Gussin, maybe looking for Hauser. Not able to get reeled in by either of them, and it sails out of bounds. Tridiak with an unforced error there.
Gussin looking around, wondering who was he looking for.
Oh, a nice cut deep there from the Nighthawks.
Disc going
but
up.
It wasn't checked in yet. And then as it's checked in,
and
sending it up into a sea of players from both teams.
Hospital
Tridiak
pass
wisely
there.
picks it up and looks to attack. They've got numbers downfield. Hauser now with some space downfield. Brink sends a flick across. There's Hauser.
There's
nice
a break.
Counterattack by the Rainmakers. Another questionable throw, a deep shot that just sailed for the Nighthawks. Everybody able to get under that one. Nobody able to come down with it. Tridiak picks it up and attacks, and the Rainmakers score.
That shot from the Rainmakers into the end zone showing what, even with the wind, but a little downwind from that throw's perspective, you should be able to thread a pretty tight needle there as you had 2 Rainmakers coming from either side. But, it's just not windy enough to make those throws trouble.
Don't want to add tight windows where there aren't any, You want the big open windows. Nice natural light. Pull goes up for the Rainmakers. The fans here at Renton Memorial Stadium with the raindrop cheer, hoping to get them to drop the pull, I suppose. Barber sends one up. Neely.
Wow.
Reaching in. Nice D. Neely centers to Fan.
Nice run from Neely.
And here comes the counterattack. There's a nice double team from the Nighthawks. You wouldn't expect that.
They're really getting aggressive, trying to stop this potential flood of breaks that they've been worried about.
Cam Bailey. Back to Harmouche. Henry Fan. Eddie Feely struggling to get open. Nice D there from Hunter. Wow!
Pull down.
Awesome grab by Cam Bailey. Back to Fan. Fan again double teamed. And there's contact called. A little too much pressure there from the Nighthawks double team.
But
a
I
great
like the
grab by
aggression.
Cam Bailey.
I like the aggression from the Nighthawks on defense, forcing those great grabs.
Henry Fan, nice slicing flick in to Neely, who got the D. And the Rainmakers, another break.
That is
4-2.
3 Rainmakers breaks. This has got to be a little nerve-wracking for the Nighthawks, who have come all the way down from Vancouver looking for their first win.
But like you say, Jake, you know, there can't be too surprised when your scoring percentage on offense is under 40%. You kind of start to get used to that. It can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it's just hard to get the confidence back when you're dropping so many O points.
I know what you're wondering, Dave. You're wondering, how did the Nighthawks get down here? Well, it's U.S. Coachways. If you have a team trip or corporate outing coming up, you can charter a private bus, minibus, or party bus from busrental.com, which is a U.S. Coachways company. Enter coupon code MLUBUS and get additional savings and VIP treatment.
Centering. Wow, big throw. A lot of space out in front, but a lot of air under it.
Another hospital pass, floating down gently.
A couple hands go up to try and get it, and it's Klein who comes in, and he declines that throw.
Nice one, Dave.
Another double team. I like this strategy by the Nighthawks, adding some pressure.
There
That
you
one
go.
goes up and is swatted down by Davidson.
Pays off.
The double team, hard to throw through.
This
The
is
Nighthawks
looking
adding
like
a little something on their defensive strategy this time around.
it's looking almost like a yardage game where it'd be a lot of wind or a lot of rain, where they're just taking questionable throws and hoping to get it back on D. But that time it worked. They got the D.
Low Ross to Barber. Barber with it. Getting a lot of passes for them on offense for the Nighthawks. There's Magalon. Good pressure here from the Rainmakers. There's an opening. There's 3 Nighthawks open on that side. A nice break, and it's Hunter who comes down with it. Seek and destroy. Eric Hunter with the grab.
Hunter always seems to be able to find that disc in the end zone. I don't think that throw was intended for Hunter. I think it was intended for, hey, I see 3 red shirts on this side. Somebody go get it.
It's always good to throw it to someone rather than just assume that someone will be out there. But that time, Hunter certainly cleaning up and scoring easily. It was a pretty good touch throw off to that side. Any one of those 3 guys might have had a chance at it, but Hunter able to easily reel it in, come back within 1 here. The Nighthawks will be looking to break, and they've had some games with very few breaks.
Yeah, as low as 1.
As low as the number 1 break, which is it's hard to win games that way.
And you can see from the jerseys fluttering, there is a decent amount of wind. That might be one reason you see these deep throws from the Nighthawks floating up, and you're not seeing as many deep throws from the Rainmakers, but I think that's what you do. If you don't have the throws, you adjust.
Nice set in the horizontal stack to find Tridiak open. Tridiak launches one. There's Entz. Nice throw into the middle.
Speaking of deep shots.
Entz to Gussin. Gussin
Big man gets down.
sends one back to Entz.
Makes a little turf angel. Entz can cover a lot of ground. He's 6'6". Usually when people throw it to him, they throw up, but you kind of forget when you're that big and you dive, you can get 10, 12 feet in front of where people expect.
There's not a lot of places he can't get to in the Entz zone.
Woof. Woof.
Rainmakers go up 5-3 on that one. And we saw Tridiak sending a deep shot that worked there, finding Entz among the 3 cutters. The play was clearing space for Tridiak to come across, and clearing space means the cutters in the horizontal stack took off deep. Tridiak gets it underneath and then is able to look downfield to those cutters who made space for him and are now downfield. That's a well-executed horizontal stack play.
One
from
thing
the
you'll
Seattle
notice
Rainmakers.
is that Tridiak, who has monster throws, he's one of the main throwers on the Rainmakers. actually didn't put Entz in the end zone, even though he's a giant target and he's the last one. He just thought, let's get a throw that I know is going to work.
And as we've seen, that wind, a little bit of a factor. That would have been an upwind throw. So erring on the side of caution and putting one that he know would make it, rather than what we've seen a couple times is lofty throws that just hang up there and then anybody can come get them.
Harmouche doing a nice job using that half-field pull. The coaches are allowed to decide that they can sacrifice a timeout instead of using the timeout for a timeout. Use it to get the pull from half-field.
Jesperson, that's a Callahan, comes in utilizing the half-field pull, putting pressure on the Nighthawks, and Jesperson getting out in front, getting that D for a Callahan goal.
D, assist, goal. That is a triple shot right there.
He assisted himself to the defensive goal there. It's a break for the Rainmakers, who go up 6-3 with just over 3 minutes remaining in the first period of play. And Jesperson getting a lot of love from the Rainmakers teammates and the crowd. Everybody loves a Callahan.
Everybody except the Nighthawks, I think.
When you throw a Callahan, which I have done, it is not the best feeling.
Well, I'm proud to say I've never done that. That's not true.
You're proud to lie again, Jake.
That's
proud
right.
to lie.
But I have to say, when you throw one, or worse yet almost, when you're on the team where somebody else threw one, it really is disheartening. And when you're down 4 breaks in the first quarter, that's a hard emotional hit.
I would love to see the Nighthawks, extend their wings further, gain some confidence, and sail through a run or two, but they just kind of keep getting stomped on here this season.
I love the defensive effort we've been seeing from them, though. I hope they can bring it back. I hope that it shows a little fire in their belly, as that disc was saved from out of bounds and then centered to McKibben.
Tridiak takes off deep. Good coverage downfield from the Nighthawks. Ostergaard sliding in with a layout to make sure. Back to Masler. Masler downfield to Robin Breen. Breen looks around. Not a lot of options. Clay Dewey-Valentine getting open on a nice handler cut there. Abandoned by his handlers, but finds Masler coming back. Stack trying to find its form. Masler shimmy shake, inside out flick to Ostergaard. Finds Tridiak through a window. Nice pressure there from Dazzy Daigle. And then Tridiak puts one up in the end zone. And Robin Breen toes the line and topples the cameraman. Breen reels it into the back of the end zone from Tridiak for a Rainmakers break.
Nice work by Breen, getting up, looking up, catching the disc, and making sure he stayed in bounds. Very good work, Robin Breen right there.
Wasn't sure about that throw when it left Tridiak's forehand grip, but Breen able to track it down and just toe the line at the back of the end zone to make it a goal.
One thing the Rainmakers have a big advantage here is they have a very tall team, very big team. Robin Breen about 6'1", 6'2", and out there in the end zone, he doesn't even look like a big guy, which is one reason you might see the Rainmakers willing to put some little more questionable floaty throws up, but instead we're seeing the Nighthawks earlier making those questionable floaty throws.
Questionable floaty throws do not a great offense make.
I think that was Mark Twain.
Yes. Harmouche, nice Blady backhand pull, lands at the front of the end zone, not able to get tackled by LaRosse and floats out the back again. Last time they were in this position, they threw into a Callahan goal. Nighthawks will look to get out of this end zone this time with the disc still in their possession. A floaty, Blady throw, not caught by anyone, and the Rainmakers will attack point-blank range here.
You know what I hate to see is Harmouche looked like he was the one hustling after that disc most, and he is on defense. He's just hungry for a Callahan, hungrier than they are for a possession.
Double team. Unfazed is Harmouche, sending it up the line to Klein.
And Klein brings home the 6th break with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Rainmakers 8, Nighthawks 3. Both of those teams wearing Canterbury. Canterbury, the official apparel sponsor of Major League Ultimate. Dress like a pro. Visit CanterburyUS.com, the destination for all your team's custom uniform and athletic apparel needs. Canterbury is a proud partner of Major League Ultimate, committed to the game.
Nice pull there from Eddie Harmouche, forcing the pressure as the Nighthawks having to take it from the back of their end zone again. They're 0 for 2. The last couple times they've had it there. And they've got an upwind back of the end zone. Double whammy to overcome there. Let's see if the Rainmakers can keep that pressure on in future. Eddie Feely putting a rolling pull that doesn't quite make it to the end zone there. The Nighthawks.
It's an upwinder.
Nice sagging pressure there from the Rainmakers downfield. It's kind of a loose zone, really taking away the downfield cuts in the horizontal stack. But leaving an opening.
Is Nadon able to?
Oh,
no, called out.
Not able to. Sliding to keep it in, cannot. And another turnover from the Nighthawks.
Though that one more understandable as part of what that zone, the junky defense.
They found the opening in the zone. It was the right choice, but again, an execution error from the Nighthawks leading to the turnover.
Small window on that sideline, but now it is Rainmaker's disc.
Feely finding Fan in the center. Fan to Jesperson. Klein is open downfield, or is that Beener?
Beener streaking deep, looked
Sending
off. And Johnny Stacy's going to make Cam Bailey get up.
Oh, and it's a Rainmakers tie. Beener taking the goal, claiming it. Jesperson also had it. And just like you said, Jake, you saw the Rainmakers player going after a hanging pass way more than the Nighthawks, even when the Nighthawks were on offense. And there, a couple Nighthawks in there, but both Rainmakers players in the mix coming down with the disc.
Jesperson and Bean are both big players, but you would like to see, somebody try something, sandwich a guy, try to pull him off and trick him. Just try to get up there.
Often what can work in a situation when it's hanging up is the early jump. You go up to jump, even if you don't think you might make it, especially if you have another guy there, and make the other team's player think, wait, is he going to go up right now and get it? I better go up. And sometimes you're coming back down as the disc comes into range.
I mean,
there,
admittedly,
timed well by the Rainmakers.
They have a disadvantage, but when you're, it's the size of the dog in the fight and the size of the fight in the dog, and right now the Rainmakers are winning both.
Nice pull. Nighthawks able to get it out of their own end zone there this time. It's going to help them, certainly. Nice movement upfield. Nice fake. Jesperson dives by the faking Dazzy-Daigle.
Jesperson wants this.
LaRosse to Magalon. Magalon puts some air under it to Chang. Oh, sorry. That's Chan. Aponte.
Nice horizontal movement here. Funky
Some
backhand
good movement
there.
from the Nighthawks. Their end zone offense has struggled. Let's see if they can get it together here. 3 guys cutting to the same spot right there. But they managed to hang on. LaRosse. Zip, zap, zap. Scoring it is Lamb. The Nighthawks, good movement downfield. And despite a little bit uncoordinated cutting on their end zone set, they're able to maintain possession and strike it in for another goal. With 8 seconds remaining in the first period.
8 more seconds. Rainmakers up 5, 9-4. Rainmakers, why not try to make it up 6 with the remaining 8 seconds? But if they end at 9-4, I think they'll be confident with that.
They'll be going upwind here, looking to score with 0 seconds remaining on the clock. There's only 8 seconds remaining on the clock. Here and now, the clock will start when they take possession or knock the disc down.
First touch starts that clock.
Blady backhand pull. Whoa, Tridiak kicks the disc, starts the clock. Dewey Valentine finds Tridiak. He'll have a second to throw it. Winds up, throws. This could be a goal if it goes. Ostergaard eyeing it from
Floating
the corner,
up there.
trying to give a body. gets a hand on it, but good pressure there from the Nighthawks preventing a goal. A good attempt there from the Rainmakers as the first period of play winds down. They were looking for number 10, but they're still out in front. Rainmakers 9, Nighthawks 4.
Nice D there by Magalan, who finally gets the Nighthawks a victory in the air.
The Nighthawks with some tall players, but lacking the fight in the dog, as you say. Not as aggressive as the Rainmakers have been thus far on those 50-50 balls, which we call those discs up in the air that could get caught by anyone. We've seen a few of those with a little breeze, some floaty ones, allowing a lot of players to get underneath it and go after it.
You know, I just still keep thinking about this one throw from the Nighthawks. I can't say I remember who it was from or to. Actually, I think it was to Hunter, but it was on this side of the field on the left. Wide open Hunter, running upfield, and the throw is just floated out too high, so he has to wait, look up, instead of being in a potential power position where you're looking at the field, running onto the disc, and you can catch the disc and know exactly where you're going with all your momentum. And those little errors, that throw that just goes over someone's head, even if they catch it, even if it's not a turnover, it disrupts the flow of the offense.
We've seen certainly some good plays and some goals off of quick movement, which you can really only have if you're hitting the guy in the chest. He's able to catch it and quickly turn for the next pass. It can be so devastating for a defense when an offense is stringing together pass after pass after pass. And as a defender, you're trying to keep track of your guy and where he's at, and also where the disc is as it moves to different sides of the field, which certainly affects how you're positioning and where you should be playing to try and stop the offensive player you're guarding.
And I'm surprised that the Nighthawks huddle just lasted less long than an explanation of moving the disc. I'd like to see the coach step up and maybe discuss a little more strategy with him, or at least get him out throwing.
It's both an energetic boon for your team when you come together in a huddle, and also a chance to talk about what's working, what's not working, try and tighten the screws on what's not working, and continue with what is. But like you say, Jake, they're just a couple guys out throwing, a couple guys just kicking it, shooting the breeze. And if they're going to get better and be able to compete with these other West Coast rivals, I agree. I think their coaching needs to be stronger, bringing the team together.
What the Rainmakers are talking about right now, only Coach KK knows.
Kate Kingery and Fiona McKibben leading the coaching staff. Bert Abbott supporting the efforts there.
But I do wonder if we're going to see some different looks out of Seattle, as they've got this comfortable 5-point lead against a team that really hasn't been able to hit some open shots. And if they're going to say, hey, let's try some four-man zone, let's try some transition, let's try some of those switches, especially defensive sets, that were working for them in 2014 season. Mm-hmm. And we saw some of last year, but really much less of this year.
We saw some good sort of sagging downfield defense from the Rainmakers, really shutting down the Nighthawks' ability to run it through their stack out of the gate. You want to be able to call a pull play and run it, get the disc moving downfield and give yourself an advantage on offense. But the Rainmakers did do a good job of kind of coming down in a zone, putting pressure on that way. We've seen the Nighthawks come in with a couple strategic double teams that have paid off for them. So mixing it up and adding defensive pressure and throwing something surprising can be very effective on defense.
Let's see more double teams from the Nighthawks. Let's see something from the Nighthawks. They got four pulls, 4 points, so they've had 4 opportunities to start on defense, and that's a chance to run something that's going to work. And if what you've been running isn't working, run something else.
And the coach coming off the field there from the Nighthawks.
Deciding to send out Chu as their 7th player, number 6.
The Nighthawks will pull. Breeze blowing a little bit here at Renton Memorial Stadium. Home game for the Seattle Rainmakers. won last week against the Nighthawks, looking to do the same tonight as they're up 9-4, coming in here to the second period of play.
Nighthawks did score 4 in the first quarter, which usually isn't something to write home about, but if they keep this up and scored 16 in the game, that would be their offensive record.
Struggling offensively this year, the Nighthawks. Hopefully able to put something together on both sides of the disc as their D team runs down. Following a rolling pull, Masler centers to Dewey Valentine as the Rainmakers initiate their offense. Little poach off. Barber off McKibben. Wow, nice D there.
There's a shot.
That's Dazzy Daigle getting out there with a block. Nice D from Dazzy Daigle, and the Nighthawks look to counterattack, trying to start this quarter with a break, just as the Rainmakers started the game the first quarter with a break. Nice inside-out flick.
Bounced.
Off the turf. Was hard to tell from up here. Arturo Aponte trying to dig it up out of the turf, but again, nice choice by the Nighthawks, but just an execution error there.
Well,
they had a nice chance at a break.
What I'd be happiest about is Dazzy Daigle. That was a great bid, great defensive mark. You keep that kind of pressure on, and you will get more opportunities. Don't worry so much about the execution errors. Just get more options to execute properly next time.
Movement from the Rainmakers, swinging the disc all the way to the side, then finding Entz in the middle, who wisely delivers it off to a handler. McKibben puts it out in front of Hauser. Hauser having to go hard at it. Good pressure there from Mogollon. McKibben now with it. Some better pressure here from the Nighthawks.
Yeah, Nighthawks are stepping up here.
Hesitation there from Chu. Maybe could have gotten it. He kind of questioned his own decision to get out there and dive.
Shot going up.
Nice flick out in front of Hauser. A little bit of chance to catch up, but no, Hauser's able to bring it in on the line.
Hauser
so we'll
now
have to
looking.
find another receiver. There's Clay Dewey Valentine hustling into the end zone. And the Nighthawks not able to send anyone to stop the flood as the Rainmakers pour another one on.
Gotta say, though, like that energy coming out for the Nighthawks, trying to make the second quarter a little different from the first, saying, hey, this first quarter didn't go so well. Forget it. New game.
Good defensive pressure there from the Nighthawks. Dazzy Daigle with a diving D. And unfortunately, the Nighthawks not able to convert. And the Rainmakers get it back and march it down. And we'll pull to the Nighthawks.
Even if the Rainmakers keep up the flood and this is a blowout, even so, if the level of play gets a little higher, there's more defensive pressure, the offense has to work harder, that's a win for both teams. That's a win for Ultimate.
Always more fun to be playing a hardly fought, hardly contested, and by hardly I mean hard.
Right.
Not barely.
Right. It's definition 2, I think.
Yeah, definition 2. Check your Websters. You always want someone who's working hard against you. It makes you better. And so certainly the Nighthawks improving their defense will help them grow as a franchise and build a team year after year that hopefully gets better and better for them. And, of course, also that increased pressure ups the level of the game, and we love to see that.
You got it. As you see Seattle responding, there's Johnny Stacy.
Oh, wow. Nice D from Stacy.
Laying out.
Lim sending one up the line. And Hunter almost able to get there, but Stacy comes over the top with the swat and says, "Nuh-uh."
I like seeing defensive bids, defensive pressure on both sides. As you said, Dave, makes the whole game more fun.
Beener to Feely, to Harmouche, back to Feely. Jesperson just jogging right in front of him. There, he clears space for an up-the-line possibility.
Got some crowd cheering there.
Neely, contested. Jesperson, Feely. Neely puts it out in front, and Beener not able to chase that one down. A little too far out in front from Neely. Neely throws a lot of break goals for the Rainmakers D team, up on the top 5 league-wide in break assists, but there puts it too far out in front of Klein.
That was one of the very few around breaks we saw out of the Rainmakers, who had a lot of cutters coming quite late, and it ended up making Eddie Feely fake the around and then throw the inside.
Hunter gets a little bump from Neely and looks at the ref, and the ref obliges, and Hunter will take yards for a little bit of contact on the mark. Here comes double team. Harmouche.
Little dangerous as that shot goes up, and it's just going to rely on Johnny Stacy to be the only one who can fight against, looks like Ian Liu.
Couple players go down, a couple Rainmakers crashing into each other there, but able to D that pass. Nighthawks looking for a contact call. None comes. Big throw goes up to Jesperson.
Battle Jesperson.
Wow. Great shot to Jesperson there from Spencer Sheridan. Lofts up an inside-out flick that catches the wind and gets right out in front of Luke Jesperson. Nice crafty pass there by Sheridan.
Would have liked to see Lowe lay out for that, get a body on it, get a little closer to Jesperson on that one, though.
It was hard, maybe a hard one to read. That one kind of went up, caught it in a little angle. We weren't sure where it was going, but little did we know Sheridan had his eyes on an inside-out flick to his teammate Luke Jesperson, who brings in the goal.
I also have to say, maybe I'm being a little hard on Lowe. I don't know how much energy I'd have guarding Jesperson for a long point myself.
Jesperson covering a lot of ground out there for the Rainmakers.
It's the Rainmakers playing a little toss catch, and I wonder if coaches McKibben and KK are trying to make sure they keep this game serious and keep, gelling, practicing as a team instead of starting to treat this like a league game where you're up 7.
And it's a fine balance because you do like having the positive vibes and the loose energy from your team. That can breed a lot of confidence, but you don't want to let it get too loose and start getting lazy out there and give the other team a chance to sneak back in.
Absolutely. Ostergaard just went on, wearing his .6 socks. .6 socks, the official sock sponsor of Major League Ultimate. You can check out www.point6.com for their full line of performance merino wool socks.
Jersey's blowing in the wind a little bit as the Rainmakers get set to pull upwind.
There's some confusion whether they used a timeout to actually use a timeout or used it to pull from half field. And instead, it is 20 yards from a call. That is a foul call that allows you to pull from the 20. Sorry, 25.
Rainmakers up 11-4. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the second period. And getting ready to pull here. Looks like Harmouche.
Deep shot by Harmouche.
Nighthawks moves the disc over to the sideline. And back across. Shot downfield. Good pressure from Klein. Disc almost getting into the hands of Ted Chu, but Klein says nah. And the Rainmakers on the counterattack. Fan with it. Harmouche up the line. Doesn't get it. Swing goes over. That's Stacy. To Feely. To Bailey.
Very fast movement by the Rainmakers. Like you said, keeps the defense on their toes.
Henry Fan trying to get in there. Doesn't quite get in. Puts it out in front for Klein, who got that D. And the Rainmakers with another break. 12-4. Rainmakers.
5 minutes left in the second quarter. And let's look at that break count. Vancouver, 0 breaks. Vancouver has fewer breaks than the Rainmakers have Callahans.
That's not what you want.
That's rough. That's rough. And it looks like they're going to move up and pull from half court.
Taking advantage of the ability to call a timeout, and not take the timeout, but pull it from half field. And the league recently shifting from the combo where they would get a timeout and take it from half field, but because of the advantage of pulling from half field, there were so many timeouts being called, it was slowing the game down. So wisely, MLU administration mixing it up.
And just listening to the fans and players and coaches who said, look, we want a timeout to pull from half field. We don't actually want a 3-minute break. We're ready to play right now.
Twitter hath spoken, and the league has responded. So all of you listening there at home, keep that feedback coming and help everyone in the MLU know that you're out there watching and listening and that your feedback is important. Help us keep improving the game and the broadcast. Check out MLU on their home page on the internet.
Internet's where it's at, and being here's where it's at. It is a gorgeous day to be out here watching discs fly high in the sky at Renton Memorial and land out of bounds. That one's rolling all the way to the medical unit.
Probably off camera here. The Nighthawks will take it. That's unfortunate for the Rainmakers, who burned a timeout there to pull from half field and then couldn't land it in. Instead, the Nighthawks will get the full advantage of the brick. And they've got a cutter way downfield. I don't like that so far down.
It looks
it's
like
not
a zone
It's
offense.
It's a zone offense against a man D. And finally coming back in. You don't want to start so far downfield. You give yourself no chance to cut into that space. Yee sends it a little bit behind the intended receiver there.
Sheridan picks it down.
And then Fan
Lofty throw.
sends one up, and well D'd by the Nighthawks at the back of the end zone. An ill-advised throw there from Fan.
That looked like Stelk coming down with the disc. Getting in front of Jesperson.
And now they'll start with a little bit of a shorter stack, allowing room for a deep pass. Davidson with it. Little inside-out shot. Oh, wow. Intended for Yee.
And Beener ends up getting his hands on it.
Neely, big Blady backhand into the end zone, and a no-look D by Davidson.
The no-look D might have been by hitting Ben Beener, and they decide Beener had the disc, and that's a goal.
Davidson not able to track the disc, having to play off Beener, and just comes in and gets a piece of the disc a little too late.
So I understand that's a break for the Rainmakers, but I also think the Rainmakers can't be happy with their turn offense that time.
You know, the Nighthawks not able to capitalize on very many of the Rainmakers' turnovers, so the Rainmakers able to get away with some things there, but you certainly don't want to get too loose with it, especially when you're going to go up against San Francisco or Portland, who might not let you get away with that. Portland's got a very good percentage of converting breaks when given the disc.
That's right. You got to assume that if you give the disc to the other team, they're going to take it and score. And even though that might not be true in this game against the Nighthawks right now, you can't have that mentality going into future games.
Got to clean up the offense. Clean up that O. Here's their defense. Seattle Rainmakers pull. Armouche, I think, with it. The pull. The Nighthawks will take it almost at half field there on a generous roll.
Nighthawks once again starting with that weird split stack, like a almost square of four
well,
people
it is
downfield.
Almost a zone downfield. A lot of switching and getting into space, and now you see them finding their man. And a lot of the Rainmakers defenders on handlers are cheating into the lane to prevent passes up the middle, force the swing. There's a pass up the middle as Chan gets it, drops it back to Barber. And again, the Nighthawks end zone offense not helping them at all, and a throw goes out from Barber to no one. They just don't have an end zone offense. They're all scrambling, chasing some open space, but everyone's out there cutting at the same time, and no one is open as a result.
There isn't a clear opening where somebody can cut to, and by the time somebody's already in the space, it's too late to throw.
Stacy dumps it off to Dewey Valentine. Inside out flick to Cam Bailey. Moves it to Klein. Klein winds up. Throws a fake downfield to Jesperson, who turns the corner, comes under, but is D'd in the lane.
That looks like Dazzy Daigle with a double D.
Double diving D from Dazzy Daigle. How about that? LaRosse. Upfield. Ponte to Barber. Barber getting a little hit from Harmouche.
runs up before Harmouche gets there, trying to put it in.
with an opening, but the refs.
Look at those downfield players just mashed out, taking up all the space they can.
Chan drops it off to Aponte. Again, their end zone offense is like an explosion in the middle of the field. Let's see if they can score from point blank. And they do, but barely. Dazzy Daigle finds an opening through the middle. And the Nighthawks with a hard-fought goal there. Nice D from Dazzy Daigle earning their chance again there.
I'm surprised to see, I've got the league leaders right in front of me. I don't see Dazzy Daigle anywhere, and if I just saw this game, I'd expect him to be on that list right at the top in the whole league.
He's out there working hard for the Nighthawks.
In fact, coming into this game, the top Nighthawks, and a bunch of them, Barber and Aponte and Nadon, all had 3 blocks. Dazzy Daigle had 2 or 1. He's not even on the list. He's tripled the number of his stat this game, this half.
Working hard out there. That time they're able to make it pay off as the Nighthawks score, bringing their score up to 5 against the Rainmakers 13 with 2:16 left in the second period.
2:16 left to score using that Innova disc. Innova, proud to support Major League Ultimate and its incredible athletes. As the official disc of the MLU, the Innova Pulsar has quickly become the disc of choice at Ultimate's highest level. Visit innovadiscs.com to find a dealer near you.
On the internet. And this looks like it might be an actual timeout here.
There might have been some confusion as a timeout was called. Everyone assumed it was a half-field shot. And then they said, no, this is a real timeout. Everybody bring it in.
And we'll see if the Nighthawks can bring some of that defensive pressure that they came out with at the start of this period of play. In the second period, they came out aggressive. We've seen some double teams from them. Like to see more of that. And then a couple of good pressure Ds in the lane.
What they need is just a team full of Dazzy Daigles.
That would help them.
Defensive dynamo.
He is a defensive dynamo, isn't he? The Rainmakers fans getting rowdy here at Renton Memorial as Andrew Takahashi, who is the wrangler of the crowd, the 3-ring circus leader of the Seattle Rainmakers, is showing off some of the Rainmakers players to the fans who get some waves.
If you're just watching online, you might think that the hometown crowd is just a big fan of timeouts. They're a fan of T-shirts. They're a fan of swag. They're a fan of all the stuff that makes coming out here fun.
And, of course, some of that swag provided by Canterbury, the official apparel supplier to Major League Ultimate. Dress like a pro. Visit CanterburyUS.com, the destination for all your team's custom uniforms and athletic apparel needs. Canterbury, proud sponsor of Major League Ultimate, committed to the game.
Well done, David.
Well, you know.
Yeah, you've been doing that for years.
And the team's taking the field again here. 2:16 remaining in the second period of play. The Nighthawks will pull and will try to turn up that defensive pressure. Perhaps their coach was able to inspire a greater effort from their D. We'll see.
One thing I noticed, the coach of Nighthawks talking just to the 7 who are going out right now. It was not a full team huddle. It was just this 7, so maybe we'll see something different out of them, or maybe it was just an inspiration. Come on, guys. You see what we can do when we try on D. We're getting Ds. We're getting layout bids. They're giving us the disc. We're taking the disc. Let's put it in the end zone.
You see what happens when you try?
Great things. Great things come to those who wait.
Try.
Try.
Yeah.
That's it.
Certainly they will not come to those who wait out here in the sport of Ultimate. You got to go out and get it. And the Nighthawks will look to do just that as they prepare to pull. Pull goes up. Barber pulling just past midfield. Again, a nice little roll here. Brink starting with the disc, finds McKibben cutting across in front of him, but can't find McKibben's hands, puts it too far out in front. Brink, who is not as familiar a face out on the offensive squad for the Rainmakers. An error there, and the Nighthawks will try to sneak in a break here.
Aponte just tried to do a little give and go, but as soon as he looked forward, he was looking at Barber cutting in, and they're just not making the space for each other and to make it obvious where to throw to.
Barber finds an opening, however.
Except that one.
Dazzy Dago left open in the end zone, and the Nighthawks with a break.
That is the first Nighthawks break, and it does seem to be Dazzy Dago all over the field.
Dazzy Dago working hard here, making the stat sheet for the Nighthawks tonight. By tonight, I mean this afternoon.
And by this afternoon, you mean right now.
Right now, for those watching live at home. And just pretend, for those watching the replay later, that you're here with us, because we're here with you. Thank you for tuning in and checking out the action. MLU Live, Seattle Rainmakers hosting the Vancouver Nighthawks. 1:41 remaining in the second period of play. 13-6, the Rainmakers lead.
2 minutes left in this first half. And what we'd love to see out of the Nighthawks is they are getting these solid Ds. They're getting turns, and sometimes they're just getting the disc from an error by the Rainmakers. But we haven't seen them able to convert it. That was their first break of the game. Let's see them keep that up.
And utilizing the half-field pull to pull it just out of bounds. We've seen that before. That's just too bad. Using a timeout to pull from half-field, you want to land that sucker in bounds so that the other team has to take it potentially from the back of their own end zone. But when you land that pull out of bounds, they're able to take it from the brick mark, centering the disc and getting a yardage advantage as Clay Dewey Valentine looks to move it up and initiate for the Rainmakers. A flat stack across. Gussin, Hauser, Breen, Tridiak downfield.
Nice slag
Masler
and
with
D.
it. Oh, good pressure there from the Nighthawks, forcing a little bit of a wonky throw upfield to McKibben. But Masler finds him. McKibben steps back, sees held downfield, held wide open.
That's Breen there. Who
Taps
dishes
it in
up.
and delivers to Gussin, who's chasing him. Nice play there from the Seattle Rainmakers. Held gets it downfield and doesn't hold on to it for long. Delivers it to Steve Gussin running by for the goal.
I believe that was Breen downfield who got the assist there. But got to hand it to the Nighthawks there for switching up their defense a little bit, shading back, and forcing some kind of wonky throws that the Rainmakers figured out, but that wasn't what they drew up at all.
No. And I apologize. I was thinking of another person, Robin Held, who is not on the Rainmakers team. Robin Breen there with the play.
Robin Breen has really been one of the quieter players on the Rainmakers, and then when he is out there, he is getting open deep left and right.
He gets the disc a lot in their offense, delivering it quickly, as you saw there, for a goal.
I wonder if it's a situation where people know that when you're guarding Cam Bailey or Steve Gussin, you got to put somebody big and a runner on him. If you're guarding somebody like Isaac Entz, who's just a 6'6" beast, you know from across the field you need to put a big guy on him. Maybe they just don't recognize that Breen is such a threat and aren't putting the appropriate personnel to shut him down.
Quiet threat is Robin Breen. The pull will come up from half field from the Rainmakers. Let's see if they can land one in. The last couple times either team attempted from half field, they sent it out of bounds. Of course, it can be so deadly when you land one in and it rolls out the back.
Especially with this crosswind where it rolls out the back on that wind side.
You don't want to send that bladey backhand too high, let it sail out of bounds. That one, a nice sharp blade, not really catchable by the Nighthawks, sails out the back. And here's a lofty flick. That'll come right down in the hands of Eddie Feely, who turns around, launches one back in quickly to Harmouche. There's the Rainmakers making that half-field pull payoff. Feely, nice D, and a quick shot into Eddie Harmouche for a quick Rainmakers break.
Everything about that was quick. Quick throw, one-shot turnover, one-shot goal.
And again, we saw from the Nighthawks there a little too much air under that pass, looking to get it out of their own end zone. Kind of a Blady backhand, but not Blady enough. Gets enough air under it so that Eddie Feely's able to get there, not make it anywhere near the intended receiver for the Nighthawks.
Shows just how crucial those half-field pulls are. If you can get that disc trapped on the back of the end zone on the third of the field that is upwind. So if you want to throw it out there, you're going to have to throw it with the wind out of bounds or against the wind into the center of the field. And it's a tough place to be with the disc.
And the Rainmakers have certainly taken advantage today. We saw a Callahan from Jesperson who's sprinting downfield to get under this pull. And a couple of breaks on the goal line. D's near the goal line and quick strikes back for Rainmakers breaks. Chan with it for the Nighthawks. Little upfield shot to Magalan. Magalan over to Lowe. To
Nice
Davidson,
movement.
back to Lowe. Oh, bobble, bobble, bobble. Trouble for the Nighthawks, and almost looked injured. I think more just frustrated there that he dropped it. And Harmouche moving it to Fan for the counterattack up to Beener. Rainmakers. Feely. Feely, a nice little slice shot into Klein. And the Rainmakers score again.
16-6. You know, if you saw a video of just a section of both teams' offenses, looked very similar, taking easy shots, taking the dumps when you need to. The only difference is execution.
Some unforced errors from the Nighthawks, certainly costly. Their offense just not able to find its groove this game or yet this season. But they have put a few together when they're able to string a number of passes together. We don't see a lot of fourth row goals from the Nighthawks. So far, almost all of their deep attempts have been hanging up too long or too far out in front and have resulted in turnovers.
Yeah, they have adjusted their game to stop throwing those deep attempts, but they're not able to get the swings either, or at least not string enough of them that you need for the goal.
And credit some of that to the Rainmakers defense, sagging off both the handlers and the downfield cutters, really preventing easy throws up the middle of the field.
Truth.
Bouncing pull. Aponte. Back to Barber. Out.
It's a great bid there
There's
by
Lamb with
Chad.
it.
Not even the intended receiver.
Barber out in front of Aponte. Can he bring it in and stay in bounds? Barely. Yes.
Yes, he can. Nice work toeing the line. Shouldn't have
Aponte
been
and then
necessary.
lofts up a Blady flick that sails over the intended receiver again. And
3
unforced error.
seconds left
right
as this
there on the
half is
goal
going to
line.
come to the close.
And the Rainmakers won't have a chance to put one up and look to score as we wind down the first half of play. The Rainmakers are up 16 to the Vancouver Nighthawks 6. We'll be back after this. After this. After this. After this. After this. After this.
Welcome back to Renton Memorial Stadium, where you are watching all the players out there just practicing throws and catches. We'd like to remind you that this is a pretty windy game. Those medium-length throws are difficult. The long throws have been almost impossible so far, as we are hoping that the Nighthawks are going to get back into this game. They were doing okay the first quarter, scoring 4. Second quarter held down to just 2 goals, one of which was a break. And we're seeing if they can pull it up for this next half.
A lot of struggling with execution from the Nighthawks. Some of their throws going too far out in front, too high, catching that wind. Certainly the wind hurting the Nighthawks more than the Rainmakers here today. The Rainmakers trying to get a win here at home at Renton Memorial Stadium in front of their hometown fans. Just a minute left here before we start in on the third period of play. The Rainmakers up 16 to the Nighthawks 6. Certainly an uphill battle for the Nighthawks.
Tough work, and the last game just a week ago when the Seattle Rainmakers won, they won 19-10. And I think if the score is just not going to be 19-10. It's a much higher scoring game this week. I don't know what that's due to, but the Nighthawks should be able to get above 10. I just don't know how they're ever going to catch up to the Rainmakers.
It would certainly be amazing if they did, considering they've had so few breaks this season. They would need a few seasons worth of breaks in this game for how things have been going so far for them. But as both teams huddle up, they'll both be looking to come out and start strong here in the second half of play.
All right, so Dave, if you're the Rainmakers, let's make it more interesting. You're the Nighthawks.
Yeah.
You are down 16-6 after the first half. What do you want to come away from this game with?
I think they've been struggling so much this year. If I'm on the team or on the coaching staff of the Nighthawks, I'm thinking about building a team, building a program that's going to get better and better and maybe make more impact down the line. Everybody knows that it's going to be near impossible to come back from a 16-6 deficit at half, but the Nighthawks need to be constantly getting better and tuning up their team, getting those reps together, working hard, so that becomes a habit for them, and so that they might become more of a contender here in the West Coast of the MLU.
So looking at the next games and the whole season, which might mean in this game something like putting the same 7 out together as units. You guys are O set, you are our secondary O set, you're our D set, and letting players work together.
Certainly on the offensive side, that makes such a difference, and the Nighthawks have been struggling on offense. So I think getting those reps together is great. I also believe there's only like 4 returning players to the Vancouver Nighthawks team this year. So having that consistency year to year, sort of as you asked, what would I like to see from the Nighthawks? And it's just getting more cohesion with the players and then working on those fundamentals. A lot of new players to the team this year and a lot of execution errors across the board from there. But you see there, they work it up well.
Beautiful.
And send one into Aponte, Arturo Aponte with the goal for the Nighthawks, finding some offensive rhythm there and drawing first points here from the third quarter of play as the Nighthawks get up to 7 to the Rainmakers 16.
Best offense we have seen from the Nighthawks yet, and it was all about what you had said much earlier in this game, making space, making those throws easy, where when we're looking out, you know who the disc is going to go to next because there's a big space, there's an obvious cutter running into that space.
And that's just comes from sometimes good coaching and sometimes just playing together with guys, knowing what they're going to do, knowing what they like to do, and making your teammates look good. One thing that is a great joy as a cutter is to understand the spacing, know that when you take your guy deep, you're opening up space underneath for somebody else and letting the disc flow like an offense ought to.
There's Yee giving a nice pull for the defense as the Nighthawks are going to see if they can put their second break up on the board.
Dewey Valentine, nice inside-out flick to Tridiak, who sends an outside-in flick out in front of Entz. Entz diving, catching it. Isaac Entz with a great grab in front of the Rainmakers end zone. Dumping it off to Gustin, who finds Entz again. Give, go, get, goal. Isaac Entz. Nice work from the big man.
Isaac Entz spiking it through the uprights. He is a hard cutter to miss.
He's a big guy. Tridiak puts it out in front there. Entz, the long arms and legs of Isaac Entz, able to go out and get it, drop it off to Gussin, get into the end zone for a quick flick from Steve Gussin. Nice play, Isaac Entz. Good offense there. Good play coming out. Again, making space for Tridiak to get it from Dewey Valentine and then send one up to Entz.
I'm still going to say, though, third quarter, just 44 seconds in. But I'm giving the third quarter so far to the Nighthawks, whose offense just looks prettier. I want them to keep it up.
Certainly, we'd love to see it be more of a game. Big spread here, 17-7. 10-point lead for the Rainmakers as Cam Bailey sends the pull downfield to the corner of the end zone for the Nighthawks. They'll send her to Barber, who is at the center of a lot of their offense. I'm sorry. That's Lowe, and Lowe sends that one too high. And the Rainmakers with it, Eddie Feely on the counterattack. Klein puts it out in front of Johnny Stacy, who gets his body in front, makes the grab. Nice play from Stacy in the corner of the end zone for the Rainmakers.
I love seeing that defensive bid, though. I think that's Stelk, but I can't quite see from this far away. But hey, wasn't involved in the turnover, finds himself on defense when he thought he was playing offense, and puts up a fight.
Almost gets there. John Stacy able to get his body out in front and prevent the defender from coming around. Well played on a tricky little shot from Klein into the corner.
Nice work as they decide. Stelk joining Dazzy Daigle as one of the people who are putting a lot of pressure on the Cutters.
And Sasha Lowe was the player who got that in the middle. I thought it was Barber because so often it is. Barber getting the disc in the middle of the field for the Nighthawks. And there Lowe, again, just puts one up and lets the wind get a hold of it and allows the Rainmakers D to come in and get it. And the Rainmakers here pulling and playing D again.
With this wind, throwing the disc above about 8 feet in the air is that's an advanced level move. You got to read that wind real well because it's going to take the disc and do what it wants to it.
Nighthawks looking to attack against this. It's kind of a sagging man, a little bit of a zone here. It looks like kind of a front wall switching defense. And again, just an unforced error from the Nighthawks. There was Lim just putting one too far out in front.
Their decisions have been good. That was looking downfield, seeing a wall. Ooh, a little luck there as Klein saves. And
saves and
deep.
Launches to Bailey. Bailey loves this sort of thing and gets it. Trying to find himself in the middle of a Nighthawk sandwich and comes down with the meat of it.
With a complaint.
And the dunk. Cam Bailey. Big grab.
Looks like 56 there, thinking there was a push-off and arguing that should have been a foul, but it's a lot easier to call it a foul when you've got the D.
Nighthawks, two Nighthawks players by the disc there, but it's Bailey finding the little gap and the read on the disc for the goal, 19-7. Seattle Rainmakers out in front with 8:15 left in the third quarter.
Seattle Rainmakers have been making questionable decisions and scoring. And on the other side, you've got the Nighthawks, who have been making good decisions this quarter and have only put one in.
Combination of just fundamental execution, the throwing quality from the Nighthawks is a work in progress. And for the Rainmakers, we have seen some throws go up and sort of someone coming up to clean up the trash, a throw that's maybe not going to be catchable by the intended receiver. But there, Klein, for instance, comes and cleans it up, sees the disc go up, knows his teammate might have trouble getting there, and comes in and retains possession, and then launches one up. Kind of a questionable decision, like you say, to put one so floaty up to Bailey, but trusting his teammate to come down with it, and he does.
Yeah, putting a floaty one up to Bailey might not be as questionable a decision as it looks.
The pull again, sailing out of bounds on that downwind corner. We've seen both teams struggle to find that corner. We've seen it really make a difference when you're able to keep those rolling pulls in.
Yeah, and what I want to be seeing is once bitten, twice shy. If you pull it out of bounds, center it more. Put it more to the center. Don't keep trying to hit that corner if you're going to throw it out.
Wind up and a shot. A couple Nighthawks out in front. But well played there by Gusson.
Steve Gusson with the old trick, jump early, jump often. And when you're on defense, that can work. Uh-oh.
Brink launches one. Ostergaard tries to get there, cannot. And the Nighthawks will bring it right back.
Turning into a game of 500, a bit sloppy for both sides.
Barber, Dazzy Daigle, back to Barber. Finds Dazzy Daigle again. Been working hard on both sides of the disc. Has Dazzy Daigle. There, makes Barber work for it. Barber keeps possession.
Nice get by Barber.
Sends a backhand across. McKibben chasing but not able to get there. Disc is centered now to Lamb. And again, the Nighthawks end zone offense could use some work. It doesn't seem like there's much of a plan there. They're just trying to find open guys who are sort of cutting, sometimes one at a time, sometimes all together. When you have all those guys cutting together at once, there's defenders everywhere, and it's near impossible to find a gap where the defense can't get it.
Does seem like a little more execution success as they're able to find that far corner
to
and put it in.
Dazzy Daigle. We saw a two-man game between Barber and Dazzy Daigle, moving it up, able to get it through more players from the Nighthawks team swinging the disc well, and then Barber there finds Dazzy Daigle for a goal.
I thought Nighthawks were doing a fine job in the end zone, especially when they were about 20 yards out, where with one exception, and that's a big exception, everyone was in the center of the field creating space on both sides. But all it takes is one player drifting out into that lane to shut the whole lane down.
I'd love to see some refinement from the Nighthawks of their end zone offense. A lot of guys cutting at once. You really want to either isolate a cut generally off the back of the stack or the front of the stack, and you try and beat your man one-on-one. And if you can't, then you clear out and make space for the next guy. But when you've got multiple guys cutting right there on the end zone line, it's a lot of traffic, and it puts pressure on the throwers. There, the Nighthawks are able to find their dumps, find their swings, until they do get an isolated cutter to the side of the end zone.
You know, what you can see there is somebody like Barber, who just sent up a good pull, somebody who's kind of a field general, holding the disc and spending 3 seconds just yelling at players, saying, hey, everybody, bring it in.
Dewey Valentine centers to Masler. Hunter coming close to being able to D that first pass. Had he really gone for it, he might have gotten there. Entz with it. Big target for them downfield. Able to get it under because he's such a threat deep. Dewey Valentine staring downfield, wanting to make something happen. Sends up a flick that Entz cannot get to. And you know if Entz can't get there, and it's a tough one. Wow! Great grab.
That is Lamb.
Lamb with a
Lamb followed by Barber. It's an all-dive offense right now.
And that's not what you necessarily want. You want clean ones. That one got a piece of it, but not enough. Hunter able to get it, and that's another break for the Vancouver Nighthawks.
Break for the Nighthawks, responding to a Rainmakers break. 19-9, scoring even 3-3 in this third quarter, which is a win for the Nighthawks. They've been playing quite well.
Nighthawks putting some pressure on, and this time converting when they got the disc back. Couple of nice bids to keep the disc alive. Lamb with a huge layout on the other side of the field.
You notice the throw by Dewey Valentine was, I think, instigated by a pretty static stack from the Rainmakers, which might have been because they're so deep that they're looking at each other thinking, I'm not going to be the one who cuts. This is too far away. I'm not in the position. Instead of getting into position, then making your cut.
You know, when you're going upwind, in order to be able to threaten cuts deep, certainly in order to complete long passes, you have to keep your stack short. When you're going upwind, it's just you can't throw it as far as when there's no wind or a downwind. So if you're going to give yourself space deep, you really have to start shallow.
That's right. Here you see a nice horizontal stack from the Rainmakers, which did start quite shallow and is getting some people open like Steve Gusson there.
Gusson back to McKibben. McKibben now will look at Ostergaard, who's been trying to find himself some space downfield. Ostergaard slides in safe right in front of the end zone. Dewey Valentine, the speedy legs of Clay Dewey Valentine, finding himself open in the middle of the end zone for a flick from Peter Ostergaard. Nice play there from the Rainmakers.
Very nice shot from McKibben to that far side. It's a kind of tight window, but it's a window where you say, Ostergaard, you don't have to worry about this defender because the defender cannot get there. Just you and the disc go get it.
Well, and I love what Peter Ostergaard did there. He cut deep earlier in the play when Steve Gusson got it under. Found himself too deep, came back in, and then Gusson went back to McKibben, and by that time, Ostergaard had come back and had space again to run downfield and McKibben able to put it out in front for him to run onto.
Something I think the Nighthawks could learn from. If you find yourself deep and you want to catch it deep, you're in the wrong place. What you need to do is cut in, make the space, and then go into it.
Give yourself a chance to run onto something, and hopefully your thrower can put it out in front. And the Nighthawks looking to tune up their execution of those plays, sometimes doing the right thing, but some tough throws coming off from them.
Sasha Lowe moving it to the far sideline.
Some squirreling downfield, but an opening there.
Wisely decides not to challenge. Looks like Bailey on the deep.
Davidson
Sorry, not
back
Bailey,
to
that's
Lowe.
Neely.
Lowe surveying a bit of a vertical stack, but again, cutters kind of every which way. The Nighthawks really needing to work on making space for each other, but a nice little throw there. Upfield for a goal. Checking with the ref. Yes, it is a goal. Nice catch.
As Beener puts up a couple fingers, realizing that probably should have been on the other side of his man. I believe that was a flick force, and you just can't let him open on the flick forced corner of the end zone.
The force there, looking to make a throw it to one side of the field, and then the defenders downfield looking to play on that side so that you have to break the force, either throwing it inside out or outside in. There, Beener wrong-sided, and Davidson gets open for the goal. 20-10. Rainmakers lead. Just over 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And the Nighthawks will look to turn up their D here, try and get another break.
Sad statement at the half. If you said the score will at one point be Rainmakers 20, Nighthawks 10, I would say good for the Nighthawks.
That is true because they only scored 6 in the first half, and now we're up to 10 here in the middle of the third quarter. Ostergaard there gets it, puts it out in front. Great shot to Brad Hauser. Defender doesn't have a chance. Nice throw from midfield. Peter Ostergaard finds Brad Hauser for a goal. Rainmakers.
Hauser, somewhat unassuming somehow that people don't tend to put their better defenders on him when he is just a goal hunter.
He is deceivingly fast. He's just a hard worker, really knows how to time those cuts. You see Hauser getting a lot of goals, finding that wide open field space, and he kind of looks like he's running in slow motion when he's running. He's got a long stride, and so you don't necessarily think of him as necessarily the fastest guy on the field, but certainly great at getting open deep.
And you can see that on the scoreboard. As everyone knows, Timmy Person, of course, number 2 with 11 goals this season so far. Woodside, Bjorklund, Matt Glazer on the East Coast. And there at number 5, in the top 5, Brad Hauser.
Really timing his cuts well, giving himself a lot of space. And there, Ostergaard with a nice throw for him, as the Nighthawks will try to respond. Klein is just cheated all the way deep in this zone from the Rainmakers, forcing the Nighthawks to take a lot of passes out to the side, and here getting a little stuck. A lot of Rainmakers there, finding the open man. A lot of open men downfield.
Great find.
Finds Lim to Aponte. Aponte dishes one off to Chan. Kevin Chan with the goal for the Nighthawks. Nice quick offense there from Vancouver.
Nighthawks doing exactly what you were hoping. They are finding their groove and gelling as a team here.
We love to see that. The Nighthawks struggling on offense, especially so far this season. And they're stringing a nice set of passes together. You saw a lot of pressure coming down in that zone. A lot of Rainmakers bodies there in the middle of the field. And they found a nice shot down the line to an open limb. We've seen that sort of thing before from the Nighthawks where that throw will go astray. You got a wide open guy downfield and you still can't get it to him. And they're starting to find it, starting to get it there.
Get their confidence back.
Let's see if they can translate that on D. Nighthawks, couple of blocks. Special shout out to Dazzy Daigle for a couple nice blocks so far this game. Let's see if they can find another turnover, whether by block or forcing an error from the Rainmakers here.
You can see them hustling down on that pole.
Wow, there's a nice D. Little sandwich in the middle of the field.
As Robin Breen gets caught in between Hoy and I believe Yee.
Barber, a little flip up the line, but can't find another continuation down the line as the Rainmakers put some pressure on here. Gussin giving a little body to it looks like maybe Yee. The disc, over the top.
It could
Hauser
work.
chasing it down, but it works. As Chu brings it in, sends one up to Hunter. Hunter looking, Barber. Barber on the line. Barber opts for a hammer over Ostergaard. That's Hunter.
It's going to work for a break. That is 2 breaks
with the
this quarter.
Thought it was Hunter 17, but it is Dazidagel 37 in the far side there with the goal for the Nighthawks. Dazidagel with another stat.
Nighthawks doing a great job this quarter. I don't know what happened at halftime, but I would love to know. I'd love to bring that to other teams.
Indeed. Coming out, running neck and neck here with the Rainmakers in this quarter. But, of course, the Rainmakers 16-6 over the Nighthawks in the first half and maintaining that lead here now with 3:30 left in the third.
Nighthawks in 6.5 minutes have already scored as many points as they got that first quarter. That first half, getting some energy. Skippy, which is the official peanut butter of the Seattle Rainmakers, made with the funnest peanuts ever, Skippy Yippee. I think the Rainmakers could use a little energy right now.
Let's see if they'll be saying yippee after this point as the Nighthawks pull from half field. If they can keep it in bounds, a lot of backhand blade rollers coming off of these half field pulls, but half of them this game sailing out of bounds with the wind. That might be a little too high and again go out of bounds. You want to throw that low roller, that one out the back. How hard is it to throw a roller to the ground rather than the air? Evidently a little hard.
What you want to do is win defense with 7 players, 7 bodies who are hungry for the disc, not one throw that happens to just hit that corner exactly like that's some magic panacea.
Just keep it in bounds, especially when it's that half field pull. You're using a timeout to pull from half field. And if you pull it out the back, they get it at the brick mark, as you see McKibben initiating the offense here. Ooh, nice little high backhand over the mark to Gussin on the side. Deep stack. Ostergaard, a little jump unnecessarily, and can't hang on to the disc. And now Aponte sending one downfield. That's Tin Lam. Tin Lam sends one up to LaRosse, who grabs it, delivers it to Barber on the end zone line.
Barber loving the hammers.
There's LaRosse again. Some space. Wow. Looking at the offense, not seeing the defense. As a thrower, you have to be able to see the defense. And now Tridiak attacking on the other side. Can't put it out with enough float for McKibben to run onto. Looking to really drive a nail in on the counterattack there is Tridiak.
Looked like Tridiak knows that McKibben missed a track workout or something and wanted to throw it out in front.
Maybe Tridiak just did one too many arm workouts there. It's hard to know. And
There's
here's a
a
hook.
shot.
Dewey Valentine chasing and getting the D over Hoy. Nice D from Dewey Valentine. Sorry, that's over Chan.
There's another shot as it's a game of distance.
Gussin to Tridiak, a little bit of contact on the receiving end. Tridiak able to hang on through the foul. Finds Ostergaard. Ostergaard back to Gussin, who threw that hook to Tridiak.
Gussin with a cute little left hand.
Back to Gussin to Ostergaard. Goal, Rainmakers.
22-12, 2 minutes left in the quarter, but still lots of, I wouldn't say momentum with the Nighthawks, but at least it's even now.
And again, they've scored 6 this quarter, which was the total points that they were able to score in the entire first half. So assuming that they score again, looking a little bit stronger in the second half here so far are the Nighthawks. But the Rainmakers with a couple of nice plays to earn some hometown cheers from their fans here as they're looking strong in the second half as well on the last couple of points.
They're looking good. Wearing those Canterbury uniforms. Canterbury is proud to power your game as the official apparel sponsor of Major League Ultimate. Visit CanterburyUS.com today, the destination for your team's custom uniforms. Canterbury, committed to Ultimate.
Klein with a pull for the Rainmakers. Centering to Low. Big throw goes up into some traffic. Klein able to get a hand on it, and Beener brings in the D. Good team D from the Rainmakers downfield. You see those guys a lot downfield for the D for the Rainmakers. Neely now, a little bailout hammer across. Beener bumped on the receiving end, and Hunter with a nice integrity call there says, yep, I got him. I fouled him on the receiving end.
Hands the disc right back to Beener.
Beener will take yards and possession, but maybe takes too many yards there.
I think for that bump, you don't get yards, you just get to keep the disc.
If that contact had been as a thrower rather than as a receiver, he would have taken yards. Fan to Jesperson. Fan bringing his cut right into the wheelhouse of Jesperson.
And going to be a foul on Fan.
Well, he brought his man right there in front of Jesperson, crowding the lane there and having to kind of push through the mark.
Even if that's not a foul, that is not where you want to be cut.
No, yeah, it's good. The refs there is teaching a little offensive lesson.
This is not football. You can't just hand off to the running back.
Klein looking downfield, finds Fan for a little 5-yarder. Fan finds Feely. Feely has Klein deep. Throwing a lot of inside-out flicks. There's one to Jesperson who bobbles, regains focus, and retains possession. Jesperson, a quick one to Feely. A lot of traffic on the handlers there. Good pressure from the Nighthawks. But now leaving Beener open in the end zone, and Beener with a goal, draws and fires.
I saw after, I think that was Neely, shot that into Beener, shaking his head no and thinking that was not the offense we wanted to run. It worked, but let's not do that again.
A lot of inside-out flicks, which is it's a tough pass to complete, but a lot of completions on those insides from the Rainmakers there.
There's just a lot of turning at stall 2 or so, which is appropriate. Turning and then waiting for another 3 seconds, hoping to keep possession of the disc, which is fine. You keep possession of the disc, and obviously it works. But you don't want to sit there and every 5 seconds be just hoping to hold on to the disc. You want to make progress.
You want to string together those continuation passes, and that's really on the downfield cutter's ability to time their cuts so that as a receiver is catching the disc, he's able to get his feet, plant his pivot foot, look downfield, and find someone open. The more you're able to move it quickly, the harder it is for the defense to recover.
Absolutely. 30 seconds left, 26 seconds left in this quarter as the Rainmakers have caught up and answered the breaks that the Nighthawks put on them in this third.
Yee with a hammer over the top. Wow,
There's
sends
a
one
challenge.
Too far out in front.
Lamb not able to get there, and really, even if he bid, it's just too far in front. 7 seconds left.
Remain. Cam Bailey turns it into a jog and says, you know what? Maybe we'll just try and hang on to possession here so that the Nighthawks don't have a chance at a goal here because they would have had to go upwind. So the third quarter ends with the Rainmakers up 23 to the Vancouver Nighthawks 12. Staying far out in front are the Rainmakers.
Good quarter for the Nighthawks. Let's see if they can bring it in the fourth. Feel good about their next game. And the fans getting into 80s night. I don't think I realized it was 80s night for a bit and just wondered what the style was out here in Renton.
We've got some neon. We've got some 80s hits.
It's a very colorful crowd out here.
Colorful sunglasses.
We got some dancing that is timeless, I believe.
Timeless dancing. We need more of that. The Yippee Skippy Award there.
Oh, Yippee Skippy Award.
Going out because Skippy is the official peanut butter of the Seattle Rainmakers, made with the funnest peanuts ever. Skippy Yippee.
That's it. That's it. They're the fun ones. Wonder how they can tell which the funnest peanuts are. Little tiny microphone. Brick back wall.
I couldn't. That's not my expertise, but I bet you you have an affinity for that, Jake. The funnest peanut spotter.
I do.
Yeah.
I like to have little competitions. Send back the winners. Let them make the next generation. You know, we'll breed them the best.
Yippee, indeed.
And we got a Make It Rain fan. Out here with his dad. Just won a free disc signed by all the Rainmakers. Happy fan right there.
Fans can follow along online at Major League Ultimate website. Follow the stats and the progress of their hometown favorites.
The hometown favorites being the Seattle Rainmakers, right?
For the Seattle fans, that's right, Jake.
Oh, so it changes.
Oftentimes the hometown favorites are those players playing for the team that exists in your hometown.
Got it.
Yeah.
So in San Francisco, it'd be the Dogfish.
That's right, Jake.
Catching on.
Here in Renton Memorial Stadium, Renton at the south end of Lake Washington, just bordering Seattle. And a field that the Seattle Rainmakers call home.
And you might occasionally, for a high throw, be able to see, when the screen pans up a little bit, the tails of many, many jets peering over the far grandstand. We are right next to a Boeing facility. Aviation, of course, Seattle, city of flight. And seeing a lot of these Seattle players seem to be doing a better job negotiating flight in that wind than the Nighthawks, who had a very rough first half, but are pulling it back together here.
We saw a familiar turnover there from the Nighthawks. Unfortunately, they had a nice string of offensive passes and then sent one just too far in front. Not able to get the quick goal there late in the third period of play. As the teams come out to take the field for the fourth and final quarter. 11-point lead for the Seattle Rainmakers, up 23-12.
There is no chance for the Nighthawks to come away with a W for the game, but there is a chance for them to come away feeling ready for the next game if they can keep this third quarter, or the fourth quarter, like that third.
And the Nighthawks, a young team looking to steadily improve and compete here in the West Coast. And Seattle finding some confidence of their own here against the Rainmakers. And we'll see if they can bring that into some better record here against San Francisco and against Portland. And the Nighthawks find an opening downfield as Hunter left wide open downfield.
Not sure who was supposed to be guarding him, but nobody was.
Chan over to Nadon. Nadon to Lim. Lim swings it across, is low. Back to Nadon. Good movement in the handlers there. They just need some downfield passes. Hunter gets open downfield, sends a nice pass over to Aponte, but he can't hang on. Lost focus, was already thinking about the next pass. Aponte with a drop.
It's been the story of the game so far, is fine movement by the Nighthawks and then some execution error.
And now the Rainmakers will try to bring it in for a break. Henry Fan looks downfield, sees Klein out in front. Klein sneaks by Nadon for a goal. Nadon, not even his man, looking to help, but no one's able to help Klein as Klein helps himself to a little pole move, little dance move there.
That is a new one.
The old pole hug.
The old pole hug.
Rainmakers with a break, 24-12.
Beautiful deep shot by Henry Fan, who had to sneak it through some defenders downfield and just get behind him. It's all about the hips. You have Klein running deep already with some momentum, and I'm not sure who it even was who was hanging out deep there. Might have been number 30, I believe, who was hanging out deep, but hips planted, facing inward. By the time he turns around, accelerates, and can get anywhere near that disc, it's in Klein's hands.
That was Nadon who tried to make a play on it. Big target for the Nighthawks, but couldn't get there. Nice play from Henry Fan.
Sending some fan mail downfield.
To Evan Klein. And I love how Luke Jesperson's been first one down for the Rainmakers D almost every time on those poles. Working hard to get that big frame on the mark. And the defense of the Rainmakers sagging off the handlers, forcing them to go to the sideline as Chu looks downfield. Sends one there to Lamb. Lamb to Barber. Scrambly cuts downfield. Again, I just love the clarity from the Nighthawks to find one cutter at a time. Now they're too deep. Now he's coming under. He did get yards coming in, and the throw just too far inside.
But a good look to a big space.
LaRosse had space coming in from the deep space, and fortunately, Barber just couldn't get it there. Wow.
Ooh.
Barber almost getting a D on a swing pass from Stacy to Fan. Fan puts it out to Breen. Oh, and Breen misses Harmouche on the dump, and the Nighthawks will get another chance. They opt not to fast break 3-on-3.
Nice job by Lamb by coming over on that mark.
Barber picks it up, sends a hammer over to LaRosse on the goal line, who finds Lamb for the goal. Nighthawks score.
Nighthawks able to put it in and come, well, it sounds bad when you say within 11.
That's mixed blessing or a maybe tainted love, you might say, here at 80s afternoon at Renton Memorial Stadium.
That's good. That's
tainted
good.
love playing there, and the Nighthawks loving that they scored there, but not loving that 11-point deficit.
No, but I think when it was 16-6 at the half, frankly, even when it was 9-4 at the first quarter, you're already thinking, what are we going to do for the rest of the season? Not even for the rest of this game. We need to put a team together that can compete.
Hopefully building that way are the Nighthawks here, looking to pull from half field. We haven't seen as many half field pulls going upwind, but right now the Nighthawks trying something new, and frankly, it would be very unlikely that anything that they would try would get them actually back in this game. But taking it what advantage they can here, pulling it from half field, looking to put some pressure on and get a break, maybe get the upwind break, which is always great to do. And there's a nice pull, backhand roller, diving and keeping it in. McKibben, Dewey Valentine, good pressure from the Nighthawks. McKibben out on the side. There's Gusson, who winds up Tito Ostergaard downfield wide open, but Gusson can't put it deep enough, and Hunter comes down with it on the D. Hunter sends it up to Lou.
This half field might have worked.
Nighthawks move it up, and there's Hunter with space out in front of Ostergaard. Hunter doing it on both ends of the field. Hunter finds LaRosse for another goal. That's a Nighthawks break as they'll pull downwind, looking to put together a little run. And I love to see that from the Nighthawks because, again, they're going to need that if they're going to compete with these teams. They need to know how to put on a defensive run, score a few in a row, especially when they're finding themselves down consistently this season.
I think that's exactly it. They're not trying to get back in this game because that's a lost cause. They're trying to get back into next game. When the Rainmakers have played Vancouver last week, winning, I believe, was 19-11. This week, after the first half, they're up 16-6. It's the kind of game where you're not even in the season. You're not even in the field in the competition. And so whenever a team comes at you, you've already lost. Here, they're trying to just get back into next game and the game after that.
A young team looking to build some confidence. looking to build some cohesion. The Vancouver Nighthawks, again, pulling from half field, looking to put together a little run here. Let's see if they can keep this pull in bounds. Far too often this game, the pulls from half field going out of bounds. You want to send a nice bladey roller somewhere into the end zone in hopes that it can roll out the back. And even better if you can kind of make it that ambiguous blade pull that someone might want to even try catching. You love to force a dropped pull if you can. This one goes up and comes down, in.
Count it in.
Barely.
Count it in.
Dangerously close to being out again. This one in, and a double team on McKibben, who's trapped at the back of his own end zone for the Rainmakers.
I'd hate to be McKibben
Sends up
here.
a floaty throw. Nadon will have a chance. But
scary.
Entz, a big target there, comes down with it. Nadon looking to come back with a Callahan of the Nighthawks' own. Masler sends a hammer up over the top. Breen thought it was going to get D'd by Hunter. Hunter missed, but Breen kind of slowed down, not able to get there. And Hunter will take possession of the disc. Floaty one to Nadon, but he's wide open.
Nighthawks are working.
And Hunter again out in front, finds the opening and gets a goal. Nice little three-point run here from the Nighthawks.
Nighthawks stringing breaks together, something we have not seen from them before at all.
Utilizing the half-field pulls to their advantage, and some hard work, and then a hammer over the top from Masler. That really should have been D'd by Hunter. Breen knew it and let it fall. And Hunter making it happen on both sides of the disc. Big stat getter for the Nighthawks.
You know, very impressive by Hunter. A little confusion for me. Where was Dawsey Daigle? He was not on the field there, and that first half, which I know was not shining light for the Nighthawks, he was a star. He was just a stud out there, and now they're not putting him in somehow. I can't figure this out.
Well, he certainly has been a difference maker for the Nighthawks here. The Nighthawks on a little bit of a run here. They certainly could use all the help they can get. We'll see if Dawsey Daigle gets out there in future points. He's there on the sideline, on the bench right now.
Just to note, the Vancouver Nighthawks, no breaks in the first quarter, 1 in the second, 2 in the third. They've just got 2, and the fourth quarter is only a third of the way through.
Ramping up. It would be very surprising if they made this game close at this point, a 9-point difference. But a nice little string of breaks for the Nighthawks.
Regardless of the points, there's another turnover. As you see McKibben racing downfield to make sure that they can get this disc back.
McKibben hungry for it. Gusson put that throw too far out in front of him. McKibben just chasing Chan around.
Breen got to catch your D's as it bounces off Breen and is able to be pulled in by Chu.
Low with the disc. No one even near him, having to throw a very long pass. And it's turned over. But on the other end, Low able to get it back.
This has to be cleaned up on both sides.
Put up short by Brink. Brink with a couple of turnovers so far this game.
So far this point.
Davidson.
There, Davidson and Chu finally slowing this circus down.
And their stack needs to be a little bit closer to them for an easy break. That's a little bit of more of a challenging break, making it look easy. Just to the end zone line. Lamb needs somebody.
Oh,
and
he
there's
is stuck.
4 Rainmakers right around him. And I believe that might be a stall call from the ref.
No, it's
Perhaps
not a stall.
Contact there, I guess.
Contact called bizarrely. But it's going to let the Rainmakers D set up again and see if they can make this 0-inch stop.
Lamb fires one up the gut. That's Lou with the catch. Another goal for the Nighthawks.
That is 4 in a row for the Nighthawks, which means 3 breaks, which is something I don't think they've done all season.
I don't think so either. It's certainly good news for them. And puts the Rainmakers in a little bit of a challenge. When you drop 3 in a row on offense, it's certainly hard to come out and have the confidence that you need, knowing that as an offensive team you need to score. And the Rainmakers put to the test here by the Nighthawks at the bottom of the conference here. And the Rainmakers need to rise to this challenge if they're going to hope to be able to win some of those close games against some of the better teams in the league.
Well, key word there, confidence. Confidence is what the Nighthawks are going to have coming into the rest of the season as they think, hey, we put together a half where we were competing. Frankly, this half, they've been winning.
Barber with a pull that rolls to the front of the end zone. Hunter, again, putting on a hustle, almost gets to that first pass. The Rainmakers having to work. Eddie Feely in the back finds Klein up the middle. Klein has Neely open deep as well as Hauser. Hauser out in front. He opts for Hauser. Hauser's well out in front, and Neely never stopped running for the quick grab from Hauser. Hauser, after a long run, with a wide open Neely, could have put it just about anywhere, put it behind him and near the ground, but Neely hustling and diving to hang on, and the offense of the Rainmakers stops the run from the Nighthawks.
Stems that red flow.
The Nighthawks see if they can get one on offense here after a nice run. It's got to give him some confidence.
I wonder if you're the Nighthawks, you just put the D back on the field. They were doing such a good job.
Well, certainly the offense of the Nighthawks has been struggling so far this season and has gotten broken a number of times tonight. But the Nighthawks needing to find that rhythm on their offense. A lot of young players. Often it's the veteran players on a team who will be the core of an offensive team. You just want that steady confidence on offense, be able to keep possession, not do anything too crazy. On defense, you want to get a little bit crazy, especially when you're on the defensive side. Nice swing and yardage gaining pass there. Nadon with it on the side. Moves it over to Chan. Disc moves in the middle. That's Davidson. Kind of a spread offense here. Back to Davidson.
You know, lots of throws has not been a friend to the Nighthawks so far, and that might have been what the Rainmakers were counting on, but the Rainmakers are really not forcing D's right now.
It looks like maybe a push-off or something there. And they'll lose yards. And what I don't love about that last possession was Stelk got a swing in the middle of the field and then at stall count 0, swung it over to the side. Your offense is strongest when the disc is in the middle. He should have hung on to it, looked downfield. 3 Rainmakers there to get the D, and Fan comes down with it.
The disc.
Another bad throw by the Nighthawks, giving everybody a chance at it, and they are looking to counter-strike here as Sheridan gets it. Deep shot open right near the end zone. Has Cam Bailey and Beener running with him. Beener turns the corner and gets open, and that's a Rainmakers break.
Finally, momentum back to the Rainmakers as a beautiful ups gets the disc, and Henry Fan takes a very deep shot to Sheridan, but right on the money, giving Sheridan his choice of throws.
And I like Beener doing some end zone celebrations here. You know, they're still without Khalif El Salam, who does a lot of end zone dancing, and we've seen Beener with a couple of eccentric celebrations, which I like to see.
He's given it a shot. You know? He understands, I think, that he is not Khalif El Salam, right? He's not going to try to put it to that level. But he's throwing the disc up, shooting it down. We saw a pole slide. Yep. That one was not Beener. I believe that was Jesperson.
I can't remember who did the pole slide. You would think that I would remember. Yeah. That was such a unique celebration. But I like a little fun, you know. I like those celebrations. I like bringing some of that fun.
A little fun, a little relaxation, especially after you just scored.
Nighthawks looking to stop a little run from the Rainmakers in the middle to Aponte. And the swing continues. The Rainmakers have done a good job of forcing the Nighthawks to move it around the outside.
That was a beautiful up line there to Lou.
Lou to Barber, finds Aponte wide open across the field, who flips one into LaRosse. Nicely done using the horizontal space there by the Vancouver Nighthawks.
This is just a different game from the first half. This is the first competitive half that we've seen out of the Nighthawks against Portland, against Seattle, against anyone. And that's got to feel good for them and a little rough for the Rainmakers, who came into this game, I think, especially after last week, assuming we're just going to roll them.
If you beat someone 19-11, it's certainly hard to get up the gusto to come out and say, we got to work hard to beat these guys again, because they beat them so easily before. And then, of course, to come off of the first half of this game where they were up 16-6, it's easy to get a little lackadaisical in the second half, knowing that the other team would be hard-pressed to come back and get you. But laying off the gas here a little bit are the Rainmakers, and accelerating a little bit and working harder are the Nighthawks. Pulling here, a nice pull upwind by the Nighthawks, running down.
Nighthawks for the chance for their 6th break this half, which is a statement I did not expect to be making.
Brink over to McKibben. McKibben, wow, finds a narrow window there, but it's Stahl. He was holding the disc too long there, and Barber will initiate it for the Nighthawks.
And this could actually be a 6th break. After games with only 1 break and a first half with only 1 break against the Rainmakers 12.
The cutting of the Nighthawks still could certainly improve in terms of them making space for one another. There's Hunter with it from Barber. Hunter sends one up. Wow. Cross field, back in.
And
I didn't see that window, but they did, and Aponte reels it in for a break from the Nighthawks.
I was wondering why Aponte caught that way, where he kind of fell down at the waist, but I realized he was keeping it in, and it worked. Aponte with the goal, 26-18. Nighthawks are coming back.
Within 8, which normally you wouldn't think is close, but they've been down by as many as 12, I believe, this game.
Nighthawks with 2.5 minutes left. If they could put in another break, or all I'm asking, don't get broken. If you can go this 2.5 minutes without getting broken, I think that is really a new Nighthawks in this second half.
Nighthawks don't let Jake down. All he's asking is not to get broken.
Now, that's a lot to ask from a fired-up Rainmakers.
Here we have the Nighthawks pulling, looking to get another break. Maybe with, I think with the most breaks they've had all season in any game, in this game. Masler to Dewey Valentine to initiate the Rainmakers offense.
You might hear the audience, the crowd here, trying to initiate the audience, the play themselves.
Hauser to Tridiak. Tridiak sees Isaac Entz running deep and just lofts one up. Some contact downfield as Entz gets a step and gets the goal. Isaac Entz from Tridiak. Rainmakers with a quick score.
I thought Lim was really on Entz very well, and I wonder if Tridiak thought, yeah, Lim is on Entz, but with Lim on Entz, I'm going to throw it.
Entz a big target for the Rainmakers there, showing what he's made of. Gets a little body, but able to use that to his advantage, gaining a step into the end zone and bringing it in for the Rainmakers goal. Rainmakers up 27-18 with just over 2 minutes left in the game.
0.6 Socks, the official socks sponsor of Major League Ultimate. You can check them out at www.point6.com for their full line of performance merino wool socks. I will say they're very cool socks. Merino wool, it's just comfortable.
Cool, cool. The Rainmakers will pull from half field, looking to put the pressure on and keep it on here late in the game and close the door on this one. The Rainmakers just about to get their second win in a row, both against the Vancouver Nighthawks, who have yet to get a win here this season. But like you say, Jake, have put together an impressive half for them. And this time they don't get stuffed in their own end zone as they move it out of the end zone into the hands of Davidson. Davidson has him down running deep, but already looking to swing.
Not making a lot of space, just kind of spreading out their cutters far enough that hopefully the one-on-ones get enough space when some defender looks the other way or turns hip and tries to help.
Some openings deep. Wow, Cam Bailey comes by. Not sure if he got it or not, but Phil Davidson could not hang on to it with the great defensive pressure there from Cam Bailey.
I think that was a phantom block. Don't have to touch the disc, just have to stop the opponent.
Harmouche to Klein. Klein inside out flick to Cam Bailey. Cam Bailey with a little lefty flip backhand to Klein, who jumps a little late. And his first touchdown after catching it was outside of the end zone. Here's Matt Neely, one out in front to Cam Bailey, but here's the words from Beener behind him, I got it. And Cam Bailey leaves it for Ben Beener, who pulls an arrow out of his quiver. And without quivering, shoots a disc down.
Well, ask and you shall not receive, Nighthawks. You got broken. First chance. 1:10 left in the game, 28-18.
And the Nighthawks not able to run their offense as they want up the middle of the field. Good pressure from the Rainmakers all game, forcing that disc to swing out to the sideline and just forcing those extra passes, which for the Nighthawks is trouble, as some of their fundamentals showing when all those throws are getting put up and some errors from their throwers here plaguing them this season.
Frustration, of course, for the coaching staff, where what do you tell a player who just made an execution error? Relax, do better next time.
Hit the gym and get those throwing reps in.
Do
Nothing
your
like
reps
practice.
at the gym.
And do your reps at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throw a gym. Yeah.
If you can throw a gym.
If you can dodge Jim, you can dodge a ball. Cam Bailey with the pull from half field, and the Nighthawks will look to get out of their own end zone. Nope, they'll dump it further into their own end zone. Good pressure here from the Rainmakers. Again, a lack of clarity from the cutters downfield. And a bobble, another error here from the Nighthawks right on the goal line. Matt Neely picks it up.
As he tries to
He throws a lot of break goals there, and looking for, I think, Fan, and then Feely had a chance at it. But the Nighthawks actually get possession. And it's Yee with a huge throw downfield, a couple of open players, but
throw was too big.
Too bladey on that backhand.
30 seconds left in the game.
Oh, wow. Fan off the fingertips of Bailey, and then Yee gets a piece of it and knocks it back to Bailey. Bailey will have a hard time getting this one out in front. Aponte has position. Aponte gets up and swats it down.
Aponte volleyball spikes it down for a block with 5 seconds left in the game.
And Cam Bailey still down on the ground. That'll stop the clock with just seconds remaining in this game. The Nighthawks will have one last opportunity here to try and bring it under double digits. The lead, Rainmakers up 28-18. The disc not yet in.
They're going to give the clock back up to about 10 seconds. Just want to point out this first half, Rainmakers with 11 breaks, Vancouver with 1. This half, it's 5 breaks to 6 with Vancouver up.
A strong second half for them. This throw not going to make it as far as the end zone, and that will finish things here as the Rainmakers seal it up with a victory 28-18 over the Vancouver Nighthawks. A nice win at home for the Seattle Rainmakers. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for the MLU.